Hello everyone. I'm running a Minecraft experiment where up to 100 players must survive on a single island. If you're interested, click the I for the video pitch and join the Discord in the description for more information. To complement my ideas, I've decided to make changes to the game mechanics to facilitate a more interesting play experience, where people are encouraged to come together instead of following the more solo-oriented gameplay of the vanilla game. These changes include a reduction in many essential resources like food and ore, and a reduction in an individual player's capabilities. Hopefully, this increased difficulty will lead to people working together and specializing in roles in a given society. I'm going to showcase some of these changes in the video, as well as explaining why they have been implemented, as I want to be transparent in my intentions. The first thing I would like to explain is a reduction in food resources. All food-bearing crops and plants have had their yields reduced and their growth times increased. I've made sweeping changes across the board to reduce yields because vanilla Minecraft is very generous when it comes to food. Even ignoring the structures commonly found around the world with vast stores of food, as soon as a player plants a crop and gets some bones, they are able to sustain themselves effortlessly. I changed this to be stricter in order to place more importance on crops as a cornerstone of a society. Fishing has also been nerfed for this reason. Additionally, seed drops from grass and zombies have been replaced by wild crops scattered across the island. There are only so many wild crops out there, which may mean settlements have to compete for food in the early days of the experiment, creating interesting relationships. Trees grow slower and drop less saplings to open up opportunities for specialization, as players will need to spend time ensuring they'll have enough saplings. Ender pearls have been removed from the event because the mobility they provide is very powerful, and I want traditional defenses like walls and traps to not be circumvented by the good lob of an ender pearl. Leather from cows was made slightly more common, as not everyone may have the protection of iron. This is because almost all ores have been made rarer. Iron and coal are instead found in rare but massive veins, and metals can only smelt into their nugget variety. This is to extend the amount of time a miner will need to extract and process all the ores within a vein, and this should open the opportunity for specialization for anyone who likes mining and metalwork. Additionally, this better serves to bring more resource scarcity to the experiment. Not everyone will have access to iron, and fewer will have diamonds and gold. A society may have to share their most valuable materials, or a class system may emerge from those lucky enough to have superior equipment. And finally, the most important change, villagers do not exist in any capacity. Villagers go against the nature of this experiment as they sidestep the entire process of players gathering resources. With little investment, a villager can provide food, tools, weapons, and armor at a reasonable price without needing to do any work. Players are the villagers. Work with other players to get what you need, or get it yourself. As a quick aside, I decided to make armor trims and some unique banner patterns easy to craft for players, in order for a community to easily establish a strong identity. Because identifiers like name tags are hidden, you'll instead need to rely on armor trims, shield banners, and player skins to identify each other. One of my goals of this experiment is to have the focus be on groups of people and their collective legacy rather than individual actions. This doesn't mean that I'll refuse to mention important people if the situation calls for it, however. Now, I'd like to explain what are probably the most contentious decisions, ones that directly impact your capabilities as a player. This includes a reduction in player attributes and an increase in the threat of monsters. Let's get the most concerning one out of the way, mining speed. Players mine 3 times slower, and this includes all blocks. I wanted to reduce the mining speed of all players for a few reasons. Most significantly is that this is intended to slow down the breakneck speed at which players can progress. Chopping trees and mining becomes a much more involved process that may require specialization to truly do effectively. Second of all, building is an extremely powerful tool in the game, allowing you to circumvent many of the PvE challenges of the game. I reduce mining speed so that players will not have so many blocks at their disposal, and certain objectives like building a settlement become harder. Additionally, this makes defensive building for PvP stronger, making it harder for players to breach castle walls, for instance. In addition to being slower at breaking blocks, there is much more strain on your health and hunger. Your health regenerates extremely slowly, and as of recording, it is set to regenerate half a heart every 6 minutes. Your hunger is also accelerated, at half a drumstick per minute on top of your base hunger loss. In vanilla, a player can quickly regenerate much of their health by simply eating, and immediately get back into a fight. I wanted to change this so that a player will instead need to retreat to preserve their life, and opportunities will open up for people to be healers, or more specifically, people who make healing items like Oxeye Daisy Stew and Golden Apples. Hunger loss was a partial correction to the fact that this new way of regenerating health greatly reduces your hunger loss, but also I wanted players to be hungrier so that food is in constant demand, as a vanilla game can have food stop being an issue as soon as a farm and ranch is going. The changes to health will also serve to make the monsters of the night much harder to deal with. The melee monsters, such as zombies, spiders, and husks, are also faster to keep up with players, making them a far greater threat. I wanted to make monsters harder to avoid in the night, and place more importance on making a safe settlement for people to work in. Additionally, this also makes caving a much more dangerous endeavor, presenting the choice of either taking it slow by making mines, or risking a monster encounter by caving, but having much more opportunity to find valuable ore. Because you can't go into the Nether, netherite tools and potions will not be in the event. Additionally, enchantments have been mostly banned. The only ones that are allowed are Unbreaking, Silk Touch, and Curse of Vanishing. The Nether is banned mostly for performance reasons, but also because it introduces a lot of supernatural power to the game, and introduces some grinding that may distract from the experiment. Enchanting is much the same, with it requiring an intense XP grind to get to level 30. It may cause players to avoid interacting with people just to get good gear, so I removed all enchantments that give any significant power boost or advantage, leaving only enchantments I believe wouldn't cause players to seek out XP grind. Communication has also been limited to a smaller distance, which makes information far more valuable. Death messages are hidden, meaning your death can only be confirmed by a witness. Most information will have to be shared by word of mouth in a limited area, so deception and secrets may run rampant across the island, and some people will vanish with no trace. It is up to the players to trust in each other. These limitations to each player should combine to make grouping up and forming specialized roles not only beneficial, but necessary to survive. So, why all the changes? Well, I'd like this experiment to have the foundation of a world where it is actually necessary for people to work together. The vanilla game is designed in such a way that a single player can easily survive on their own, and this is a good thing in other contexts, but I want to encourage cooperation between players. Therefore, the capabilities of a player on their own has been greatly diminished. This doesn't mean it's impossible to play solo. It's just much more difficult, and you're putting yourself at a large disadvantage against groups who can specialize and gather resources more efficiently. But all of this is subject to change if something is too extreme, and is negatively affecting play experience. Have any questions or suggestions? Interested in how these changes will impact the game? You can join my Discord server and let me know how you're feeling, but that will be it for now. Thanks for watching.